Well, it's 1-0 England in the Test series against Samoa. The England wheelchair team swept France's side, and we've got 2 games left of the 2024 Rugby League season. England women take on Wales here at Headingley before the men take on Samoa in their second test as they look to complete that 2-0 whitewash. This is the last tackle inside England. We'll be building up to a massive final day of the Rugby League season. But of course, first, let's hear from the man himself, Shaun Wane. 1-0 England, a pretty good performance. The man will be very pleased with the scoreline at the very least alongside me, Shaun Wane. Shaun, first things first, 1 game, 1 win in the series, that's a pretty good place to be.
It is. I think we need to improve, but overall, I watched the game on Saturday and I spoke to you after the game and I was happy. When I watched it back 4 or 5 times now and it was even better. I thought we did really well, lots of detail. They stuck to the game plan better than what I thought, and for that, I'm very, very impressed.
Considering the relatively short run into this series, the fact that you've only got 2 games to go as well in this series, do you how much slack do you have to cut for the fact that these players don't get a huge amount of time on the field together?
Yeah, that's a fair point. That we've only had 1.5 sessions last week. Samoa have had 6, so this is an home test series, and we've only had 1.5 sessions, and we perform like that. So this week we'll have 2, and hopefully we'll improve. But it's hit home to me, to be honest, that we need more time on the field with the players. And you look how they performed. I'm very, very happy, but we're going to get better as time goes on.
When you look at where the tries are scored and how the tries are scored, a lot of it, doing the work up the middle and then moving it out to the edges and playing through your centres and wingers. Was that always the game plan, to do the work up the centre and soften them up before going wide? That's
exactly it. We want to go through the middle, make them defend, make them get a bit tighter, and then play a bit and hopefully score, and that's what we did. It worked out that way. And carrying the ball, I thought we need to be a bit smarter. They got 2 tries from 2 errors what we made with the interception and Kai. We need to be better than that. We can't give chances like to Australia and New Zealand, so we need to be a lot better than what we showed.
Apart from the interception in the first half, which led to that try, I haven't looked at the stats in depth, but watching on, it probably felt like you could count their good ball sets on one hand. You must have been pleased with the way that you played the territory game and marched them in the right areas of the field.
Yeah, absolutely correct. And I got a stat, I can't remember when it was in the first half, but we'd have 15 minutes in the 14, they'd had something like 6 in ours. And that's a lot. That's a lot of possession, and I would expect to score tries and win the way. If we do the same again on Saturday, then we'll win the series 2-0. But their coaches are very smart. Their players will be smarter from this loss. They won't want to go 2-0 down, and we're desperate for 2-0. So that's got the makings of a fantastic smash up on Saturday.
When you look at your spine players, obviously started off Darryl at 9 with Victor in 13, your 2 halfbacks and Jack, and that option of Mikey. You've got such an ability to shuffle your pivots around and almost shuffle the Rubik's Cube, if you know what I mean, and throw something different at them. As a coaching perspective, that must be such a nice luxury to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of Mikey. He can play fullback, he's played halves and 9, and have him in on the bench, and it's so satisfying to me. It helps me in being settled, and Daz Clark is one of the best 9s and has been for years. Having him starting and Mike went on, he's an individual threat himself when their players are getting pretty gassed. So for me, it's a perfect scenario. It'll be the same at the weekend.
I know you'll have broken down the technical side of the game and those aspects, the game plan and that kind of thing, but just on the emotional side of the game, the way that, one, you managed the game once you got into a lead, but also the way your players handled the Civitao, and when there were flare-ups, the way that your team handled themselves and didn't take a backward step, that must have been just as pleasing for you.
It was. I thought our discipline was fantastic, and there's no charges. It's going to be everybody's available again, which is correct. I thought it was refereed really well. It was a proper test match. You see people after the game, and all they're talking about was the Civitao and how that was received, and how we stood our corner, and we're all proud Englishmen, and we don't have what they have. We have our own way of showing our pride for our country, and I thought we showed that, and everybody is talking about it, and I'm happy. I want people to talk about our great game, and that was a major talking point for us. And no doubt it'll be the same again. You've got a team hurting and don't want to lose 2-0, and you've got a team who are ecstatic and are desperate to make it a 2-0 victory. And that's why it's going to be so good down here at the stadium on Saturday.
It looks like Australia are on the horizon. Where that's played, obviously we don't know yet. But these series against Samoa and Tonga, it almost feels like, in some respects, England go into these home team advantage. Maybe some people are almost waiting, expecting England to slip up. But those two series, there's been a real calmness and almost maturity to your group in the way that they've just gone about their task.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. They're very, very smart. When you coach a certain drill in club rugby, it might take you 12 minutes for a certain drill. With this mob, it takes 8 minutes. They get things very quickly, and because they're the best players in our competition. So for me as a coach, it's so satisfying watching them play and watching them do things in a test match, which a game plan. You know what we've all agreed. This is how we can beat them, and it's so satisfying for me that them really good players from your country believe in what you're saying, and that for me is perfect for a coach.
I think we touched on something similar during the Tonga series last year, but very rare in competition football or league football that you play the same team back to back. Is there almost an element of having to keep a few little things up your sleeve and look at what they're doing, because you've got a week to do your homework again, so to speak?
Yeah, to be honest, not a lot will change for us, and teams can defend what we throw at them for a bit, but can they keep defending it? And that's where we need to keep patient. You know, I thought there was a few, and that was a really satisfying thing for me on Sunday. There was a few times when we poked our head through and we were patient. We didn't need to make an error with the ball. We were very, very patient, and we'll need to do that again. The more times we keep hold of the ball and kick long and stay in that cycle of getting the ball back and just repeating it, the more chance we've got of winning it, and we need to recognise that.
Just lastly, as we come to the end of this particular international window, obviously a few days left and then a game at the weekend, you'll have learnt a lot about your players and some of the new players you've brought into the fold on the field, but have you liked what you've seen off the field as well? Have you been able to make a lot of progress in camp away from the context of these two matches?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of Camp Life. Spending all day in an hotel for like 3 weeks is perfect. So we spend a lot of time with the players doing individuals and understand things, what they've not learned at the club, what they can learn from us, and that will benefit the clubs in moving forward, and the clubs understand that. You know, I get that many texts and phone calls from CEOs and owners of clubs wishing me all the best, because, you know, Ulkia got a better Mikey Lewis back after the test series against Tonga, and they recognise that. You know, Willa Peters talks about that, and that's the beauty of international football.
Well, Shaun, we wish you all the best. Certainly, we want you to go on and make it 2-0
at
the weekend. It's going to be an absolute firefight, of course. It always is against the Samoans. A real battle in the middle. Let's speak to one of those men preparing for battle, Mike McMeeken. Mike, you've come through that first test. Obviously, the most important thing was going to be the result, but you must be pretty pleased performance-wise as well.
Yeah, we're pretty pleased with it. Like you say, that the result was the main thing. Performance-wise, happy with it, but there's some detail that we can fine-tune, I think, for the next game.
Does it feel like a step up in intensity when you get into that international stage?
Yeah, always. It's always, you know, when it's country against country, it's always intense for 80 minutes. So you'll see like all the boys out there, they're knackered when they come off the field, because you leave everything out there, because also you've got competition for places as well. So, you know, like I say, it's always intense.
What was that first 10-15 minutes like? Because obviously that Siffa towel, the reaction to it got quite intense very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I was on the bench, but from the looks of it, you know, it was intense. It was non-stop for a good few minutes. You know, sometimes the ball was out of play, but it looked like the ball was in play for a lot of that time. So, you know, we knew it was going to be physical, and it definitely was.
In terms of the reflections on it, you'll be pleased with the amount of points you've scored. I'd imagine Shaun's kind of pointed to the ones conceded as well, though, as the biggest improvement.
Yeah. I think, you know, you look at the points that we conceded, and a lot of them were off the errors that we created. Points scored was good to see, but I think, you know, we scored a couple of tries off effort in defence, which I think if you watch the video back, you'll see people like Victor Radley chasing back, and George Williams as well. They made their defensive work was what actually created the try. So it's things like that really make a big difference.
into that second test this weekend. Obviously, this place will be packed out.
Yep.
Conditions really good today. Surface looks good. It should make up for, now you've had a bit of a sparring session with each other. It should make up for a really good finale, shouldn't it?
Yeah. It's always awesome to play in this stadium, especially for internationals. I've seen that it's pretty much sold out, if not fully sold out now. So, and it's only Tuesday. So it's perfect. Like you say, conditions are good. I'm not sure what they are for Saturday, but I presume they'll be quite good. And yeah, it's just going to be for another intense 80 minutes.
What's it like when you've got 4 or 5 days left in camp? I guess you're trying to make the most of the experience and soak the rest of it up, whilst also staying focused on that job at hand as well.
Yeah, that's it. We enjoy each other's company. We only have 2 training sessions left before the game on Saturday, but we just make sure those 2 training sessions are intense, good quality, and make sure we get what we need out of it. And yeah, we've got another big test coming on Saturday, so we've got to do that.
What's it like representing your country?
Oh, it's everything. It's what every boy, every person dreams of doing, pulling on your England shirt, and especially when you're a kid growing up, you look to your idols and see them playing at the top level, and then to go out and do it in front of a packed out crowd, which it will be on Saturday, will be something special.
Well, best of luck for the weekend, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Nice. Well, they're putting the finishing touches to the pitch on behind us. It's going to need to be immaculate. It is immaculate. It's an absolute carpet, but it is, of course, a double header at the weekend. The men got their campaign up and running last weekend. The women have had to wait a week, but they take on Wales. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff. Let's hear it from Holly May Dodd. We're pitch side. This will be the battleground at the weekend when you play Wales. Have you already got that kind of sense of excitement about it now that you're here and you've got that England shirt on again?
Yeah, look, the sun's shining, the pitch is looking good, and we're going to camp tomorrow, so I can't wait to be around the girls and, face Wales at the weekend.
International Rugby League, does it always have a slightly kind of different feel to it? I know we'll talk about what's going on in the build-up and days like this, but when you're on the field as well, it's obviously a completely different combination of teammates. Does it just have that kind of different sense to it almost?
Yeah, pulling on the England jersey is something different. Everyone dreams to do that as a child, so it's really good, and we'll always put our best foot forward playing in this jersey.
You don't get too many opportunities to do it either. They come, few or far between throughout the season. Do you feel like you kind of need to make the most of it now that you're here?
Yeah, definitely. I know I missed out on the games last year due to injury, so it's good to be back and alongside the girls. So, we only have 2 tests a year, so it's good to be back in for this one.
And Wales, a little bit of an unknown quantity, obviously building year on year, qualify for that World Cup. It looks like they've made a huge amount of improvement over the last couple of years. It's going to be a much sterner test to the ones that you faced against Wales in previous seasons.
Yeah, they'll have an extra bit of confidence from that World Cup qualifying win. But we're focusing on ourselves, and I think the unknown's kind of good in somehow. Focus on ourselves and put our best foot forward.
I know it's all eyes on the weekend, but the next time England play after this will be pretty special over in Vegas. Have you allowed yourself to kind of think about that, and that maybe that girls are playing for shirts for that this weekend as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what most girls are aspiring towards, being that squad for Las Vegas. I know some girls haven't actually played Australia in their career. I know I haven't myself, so it'd be good to get over there and play them.
Be a big crowd here at the weekend as well. They're expecting plenty of tickets to be sold. How much of a difference does that make for you guys?
Yeah, having people in the crowd, it's like that extra person on the field. It's good to have family and friends there supporting you. I know me being away and playing away from home is difficult when I've not got my family in the crowd, so it'll be good to have them there watching.
You mentioned that you obviously missed out last year. You had time in camp with your teammates for the World Cup. But I guess for you guys, especially being semi-pro amateurs, that time spent in camp and that professional environment must be something really exciting.
Yeah, most girls, they really look forward to it, to be honest. Most girls work week in, week out until 5 p.m, then go straight to training, and I take my hat off to them. It's quite difficult for them girls, but hopefully one day the game will get where we want it to be, and one day hopefully we'll become professional over here.
Does this feel like a kind of a step towards your experience in the NRLW and that kind of thing when you come into these environments of England?
Yeah, definitely. We've got more girls putting on their footy boots each week, so it's really good to have more girls aspiring to be where we are, and the game's growing so much over here.
Do you feel like there's an element of responsibility on your shoulders to bring that experience of playing in the NRLW and what that is different into these international games?
Not really. I know some of the girls, they'll bring stuff to me as well. Obviously, I'm one of the younger in the squad, so I always look up to the people that have been playing the game for a long time, and I know I'll learn a lot off them.
Well, best of luck for the weekend.
Thank you.
Nice one. Thank you. Yeah, the women kick us off at 12 o'clock against Wales, and then after that the men come out and they will look to complete that 2-0 series win against Samoa that they have been so desperate for since this series was announced. One man who knows this place very well, of course, is Leeds Rhinos centre Harry Newman. He's swapping the blue and amber for England colours this weekend. He was right in the thick of it, of course, in the first test. Let's hear from him now. Well, Harry, another international game comes around pretty quick after the last one, but just what are your kind of closing reflections on that first test?
Obviously a massive win. The boys all played really well. To pull on the England shirt again, it's a big moment. But yeah, really excited. We know we've got things to work on, as I'm sure Samoa will feel the same too. So close test match in the end. Probably a couple of our errors let them back into the game in the first half, but that's test match rugby, and just exciting again to pull on that jersey this weekend.
For yourself, Samoa kind of always felt like the kind of side where the outside backs were going to have to come in and get involved in a lot of the physical stuff as well. It seemed like, you know, it was a real kind of all hands to the pump performance at the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's our job to get ourselves out of yardage, and if we can do that, it helps the middles obviously put their effort in defence and front load that energy. So no, I thought we did a real good job on the weekend, but like I said, there's always things we can improve on, and we'll be looking to do that this week.
As a back line, you kind of look at the options you've got in there. Obviously, a well-established half-back pairing, 2 flying machines on the wing. It must be a really exciting thing to play as part of that unit that has such kind of potency and potential in attack.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Harry and George, they sort of steer the ship, if you like, and then we obviously have Mikey on the bench, who's another world-class player. So no, they did a fantastic job, and obviously Herbie Farmworth as well, playing the same position as me. And then to get to link up with Dom Young, having Dom outside you, who's obviously very fast. It's great as a centre, it gives you that opportunity to put him in space.
You mentioned you felt like maybe a couple of English mistakes let Samoa back into the game. Having said that, the way you kind of managed the last 20-25 minutes of that game to firstly ensure the result, but also kind of not let them in too much, you must have been pleased with the element of control that you're able to get back.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously we started really well, went 16 points up, especially after facing the Siva Tau. Obviously that's it's an exciting thing as an England player. You pull on the jersey, you sing the national anthem, and then obviously you face that, it gets you really pumped up for the game. So no, we started really well. There's that middle period of the game where we let them back into it, but like I said, we've got the quality in our team to, when things go wrong, work it out and put those things right, and we did that in Test Match 1.
Yeah, you mentioned the Sifatau. Obviously, we've all looked at those pictures of Mikey, but you're just there in the background enjoying yourself as well. It must be such a kind of unique thing that only Test match football can bring around. But is it something that you relish?
Yeah, definitely. You never know when you're going to get that opportunity to do it again. Obviously, playing Tonga last year was pretty similar. So no, it's exciting. And you play these teams. They've got some world-class players in there. And that's what you want to do. You want to test yourself against the best, and we'll be looking to do that again this weekend.
Moving on to this weekend, obviously an opportunity to play for your country at Hometown Stadium. You must really kind of want to make the most of these opportunities when they come along.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, there's a lot of familiar faces here. It's a familiar venue. You come out there and you see that South Stand packed when I pull on the Leeds jersey, but to do it in an England jersey would be extra special. What it meant to me last year to do it here was fantastic when we beat Tonga 3-0 in the end, but no, to come back here again and get another opportunity to do that this Saturday would be great.
Been a lot of talk this week about what's to come for this England team potentially next year, but in terms of where you're at right now, obviously a 3-0 win last year against Tonga, if you could do a 2-0 win against Samoa, that would put you in a really nice position as a group, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously on the back of the World Cup, which I wasn't a part of, there's that talk of revenge against Samoa, and we thought we did that in Test Match 1, but we need to do that again this weekend and go 2-0 up, and then we've won 5 in a row. Against some top tier nations, so look, that's building on to Australia next year, and that'll be a different challenge within itself.
It's sounding like it's going to be close to, if not a sellout at the weekend. You know what this place is like when it's full. What kind of difference can the supporters make, especially South Stand coming off that terrace?
Yeah, they make a massive difference. Obviously I've played here in front of packed crowds, and it's like an extra man, if you like. There was a decent crowd at Wigan this weekend, and when they get behind you can really hear it as a player on the field. So no, anyone that wants to get to the game, then obviously it's a big occasion for us, and it's a big occasion for the country.
Well, best of luck for the weekend, mate.
Thank you.
So here we go, the final 2 games of the 2024 Rugby League season, and what a way to finish. England women against Wales, and then England versus Samoa. Can the men go on and clinch that 2-0 series win? We'll find out right here Saturday at Headingley. We'll bring you coverage from the day, and we'll see you soon.